Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to D-Ray's Shop. This is going to be video number 2 in our series on our 1998 Honda Valkyrie. Today we're going to be putting a lighter kit in the fuel tank. As I stated earlier in the first video, our fuel tank's got quite a bit of rust buildup in it because the machine's been setting up for about 5 years or more. So what I'm going to use is, this is a fuel tank liner kit made by a company called Cream. You can get these at just about any motorcycle dealership. It's a real good setup, and I've been using these for a number of years. And what this consists of is a 3-part system. You've got an acid wash that dissolves all the rust and things, and it also etches the existing metal and gives the liner something to stick to real good. Once you get all that washed out real good, then you've got a final rinse that neutralizes any remaining acid and also helps get the moisture out of it. And then of course you got the liner itself. Now, one of the things that they talk about in the instructions that come with these is the wash cycle of the kit is not a degreaser. And so what you run into is on a tank like this that has sat for a long time, a lot of the gasoline that has rendered away, it kind of leaves behind an oily film. And this acid wash will not eliminate that. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to take about a half a cup of dishwashing liquid. We're going to pour that into the fuel tank. Then we'll put about a gallon of hot water in there, about as hot as you can stand it. We'll put the cap back on it. We're going to agitate that thing real good, and that'll kind of get some of that loose rust kind of stirred up. And the dishwashing liquid will also help dissolve some of that old rendered gasoline so we can get all that stuff out of there. Then we'll give the tank a good rinsing out, try to flush out as much of the old loose rust as we can. And then we'll mix up the acid wash according to the instructions. We'll pour that in the tank, top it off completely with hot water, and we'll set that thing aside for probably at least a day or so to allow that acid to work on that fuel tank and get all that old rust out of there. So let's get to it. All right, I'm going to put in our dishwashing liquid here. There we go, about a half a cup. And I've got about a gallon of hot water straight out of the tap. Well, it just don't seem right pouring water in a gas tank, does it? There we go, all in. All right, next, we'll take the fuel cap. We'll go ahead and cap that thing off. And then we're going to give it a good shaking. Now if we could just have some appropriate shaking music. Enough of that. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing sit here for about 30 or 40 minutes or so. Then I'll come back and I'll shake it up some more. I'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then we'll empty all this soapy water out here, and I'll take the garden hose and we'll rinse it out real good. Yeah, some chunks of rust there. Wow, look at all that. Man, some nasty stuff. Alright, well, I've got our tank flushed out pretty good. It took about probably about 7 or 8 sessions of filling the tank up with water, and I would just hold that hose down in there and just kind of root it around down in that tank, and you just see all kinds of flakes of rust just keep flushing out and flushing out and flushing out. Then I'd empty it out, leave about a gallon of water in the tank, then just shake the heck out of it real hard, set it back down, stick the hose back in it, and I just kept doing that. And every time I thought about had everything out of it, I'd go to flush it one more time and some more rust would come out. So I just kept repeating the process until I got it all out of there. And it's in pretty good shape now. But I want to show you a few things here. This is the end of the fuel petcock. Man, look how grody that is. Yeah, that's what the inside of that tank looked like too. As a matter of fact, when I dumped the very first batch of that hot soapy water out of that gas tank, I put it in a 5-gallon container so I could see just what come out of there with it. Check this out. Yeah, you can see a little bit of rust here on the sides and stuff, and there's a little bit right down there at the bottom, but This right here is pretty interesting. There's the end of the fuel strainer that fell off of the petcock while it was still in the tank. But check this out. Look at that. Man, that's all that old loose rust and stuff. That's just what the hot soapy water took out of there. I mean, that's some pretty serious build up there. Look at that. That was what was in the bottom of that tank. Yeah. Now, you wouldn't think a tank would survive after losing that much metal out of it, but you'd be surprised how well these cream tank liners work. Now we're ready to add the acid wash to the tank. Now, up until this point, we've not been real concerned about getting things on the paint, because basically all we've been dealing with was hot soapy water and a little bit of rust, so we just been kind of rinsing around on it. But now we're getting to the point to where we're starting to handle things that can damage the paint. So when you're handling this acid, you want to be careful that you don't let any of it just lay on the paint. If you get a little on there, just rinse it off and you're okay. Otherwise, it can discolor the paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the entire contents of the acid wash into the fuel tank. Just like that. Okay. Now I've got me a gallon of hot water here. And the reason why you want to use hot water is this helps activate that acid and make it clean the tank a little better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put about half of this gallon in there. Now what I also done is I went ahead and reinstalled the fuel petcock and blocked off the vent hose. Now normally if I was going to reuse the petcock, I would take me either a little rubber plug or take a cork or something like that to plug up the fuel outlet. But since I'm going to replace that petcock anyway, I'm not worried about getting some acid in it, so I'm just going to use it to plug that hole up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to temporarily cap off this gas tank. And with that small amount of acid I've got in there, I'm going to kind of shake that up a little bit, get it mixed with that hot water real good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of slowly roll this mixture around so it gets a good light coating over all the surfaces inside that fuel tank. Just like that. Now I've had a little bit leak out on me here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to remove that fuel tank cap. I'm going to take some of this hot water and I'm going to rinse that acid off. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to top this thing completely up with hot water. I've kind of got this tank setting to where the neck is setting fairly level. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to top this thing completely full of hot water right up to the top of the neck. That way all of the surfaces inside that tank is going to have that mixture of acid and water in there, and it's going to start etching that metal.